Hi everyone, Kelly here, and I want to talk about the things that I read in November. I had a really good reading month. I read 9 books. Everything was 4 stars except for one, though some of these are probably teetering more towards the 3.5, but I don't like to give half stars because it makes it harder. Like, on Goodreads, I'm going to have to go up or down. So I had moved them to 4 stars. But yeah, generally, I enjoyed everything I read. I just wasn't quite sure where a lot of these things hit. So let's just start. I will go from the thing I like the least to the thing I like the most. And I guess Cole is going to join us. He only wants to be around when I'm recording. I don't know what it is. It's like I bring out the tripod and he's like, it's my time to be on film. So he just will hang out. Yeah. And anyways, the thing that I liked the least this month, but I still found it entertaining, was Silver Elite by Dani Francis. And this was my first book of the month book. I had joined, what was that, May, I think was when this was. Yeah, May. And this seemed like it was going to be kind of the up-and-coming romantic-y, sci-fi type book. And that turned out not really to be the thing. Like, it didn't turn out to be that big. But I found this entertaining. I think it kind of if you are of the generation that kind of read all of the the Hunger Games and Divergent and all those kind of dystopians back in the early 2000s, I think this plays on our nostalgia, but then puts sexy times in it. And yeah, it was okay. It was 3 stars for me because it was entertaining. It's thick, but I was involved in just easy. I actually ended up listening to this because I had started off reading it and I just kept laughing at the writing because the writing's not great. And it's super cheesy the way or maybe I should say super horny, the way that she is just attracted to this guy that basically would kill her at any moment. And it's just if he knew who she was. I'll tell you in a second what it's about. But I'm it's that oh my gosh, it's just a little over the top. So I couldn't, so it felt a bit obnoxious reading it. So that's why I put it in my ears, and then I was able to just get through it. I kind of turned it up a little bit too faster and got through it. And so it does have propulsive plot, very similar to the plots of a lot of those Divergent type books. And so I don't know if I will continue this, but it was fine to read and have a little of that nostalgic feel. Basically what this is about is we're following a woman named Ren, who she is one of, what are they called? They're they're modified humans, mods. So humans that have different abilities. I think it's something that it wasn't great on the world building. I think it was that there was a nuclear war, and because of that, some humans got kind of X-Men, where they get a little of that radiation or whatever that leads them to become modified. And she usually, if you're modified, if you use your they have telepathy powers, and if you use that, your veins glow silver, so everybody knows that they're modified, and those people are usually put to death or become enslaved or whatever. And she is one of these special modified people that her veins don't glow, and so she is able to kind of infiltrate. So she joins this Silver Elite training program to be part of the enemy, the people that are hunting down the mods. And she's able to do that because she can disguise the fact that she's modified. Yeah, so that's kind of her behind enemy lines. But then she's falling for this guy who is, part of the enemy, and all of her kind are killed by these people. So it's yeah, it was a little, for me, I just don't know if I'm the right audience for romantasy, because when there's a life or death situation, I'm what, girl, why are you worried about whether you're gonna have sex or not? This person would kill you at any time if they found out the truth, and you're just but he's really hot. And I just don't know that that's for me. It was fine for this time for me to get through it, but I don't think I'm going to be seeking out books like that. I know that that's kind of a thing that some people enjoy. I just don't get it. My brain can't turn off because I'm more like Katniss from the Hunger Games, where I'm let's not trust anyone. don't let anyone close, because this is a life or death situation. Let's take it seriously. That's what I am more interested in, where this is like, okay, you think he's really hot, but who cares? There's more important things to be doing right now. So I just don't know that I could turn my brain off enough for this to like be that entertaining. We do get at a point at the end of this book where I'm like, well, it probably wouldn't be exactly like that in the second book. So maybe if I wanted something that's just like pure entertainment and not really something I'm gonna have to think about, I might pick up the second one. But yeah, it was 3 stars. It was fine. And then everything else was 4 stars. But like I said, these first few kind of teetered between 3 and 4 stars. I picked up a romance that was part of the Goodreads Choice Awards. So some of these were part of that. So actually Silver Elite started off in the like romantasy category, but didn't make it to the top 10. First Time Caller, I believe, did make it to the top 10. And so I read this one because I had owned it, and I was like, it's one of people's favorite romances of the year, so I would check it out. And this is about the man is a host of a kind of like a love talk radio, like where he is giving love advice and all of that, dating advice. And the woman, her daughter, calls in to like talk about her mom and her dating life, and the mom like catches her talking to this radio show, and then everybody ended up liking the interaction she has, and so she gets asked to be on the show and kind of like them help her find a date. Yeah, and you can obviously figure out what's going to end up happening. And this was cute. I don't know, like the thing with this, the reason it teetered on 3 stars for me, like I was enjoying the concept of it. It had that kind of like, you know, Sleepless in Seattle feel at the beginning of that radio call, and then I enjoyed their banter on the like show and all of that. And I liked our main character, the woman, but the main character just like often his miscommunication and jealousy was like annoying me, because I'm like, you wouldn't just like talk to her, so then your jealousy does not feel justified. Like, come on, just can you just talk through some things? Like, you guys are becoming good friends, but he's still like holding her at such a distance that it just took a little of my enjoyment away. But this was a cute concept, and I liked her whole like family vibe, because, you know, she is co-parenting with her best friend, but they're not romantically together, and he has a husband, so it's like the kid has 2 dads, and they are like all 3 co-parenting, and I really liked their whole family. Like, so I was invested in her and her journey and her family dynamic and everything, so it kept me invested in the book because I was invested in her. This one was the opposite. I really didn't like the main character of this one, so it was the plot that was investing me, and I almost stopped reading it because the main character was so unlikable. I've never read anything by this author, but I would try something else because it was really fast-moving plot. I was interested in the plot, but like I said, I really hated the main character. We are following this woman, what's her name? Cleo, and she has 2 sisters, and their mother has passed away, but they are estranged from their mother. They haven't talked to her in, I don't know, 15 years or something like that, 10 years. And they inherit her house, but none of the other sisters wanted. They were like, oh, just put it on the market. We're getting rid of it because there's a lot of bad memories of like kind of abuse in their childhood that they remember from their time living there with their mom right after their parents divorced, and their mom was drunk a lot, and it was just a really bad time in their life, and that's why she lost custody of them, and then they basically didn't talk to their mom anymore. But the youngest sister, Cleo, is like, no, she's an influencer, so she has a lot of social media, you know, makes her money off of social media. So she was like, I'm gonna fix it up, and I'm gonna put it all on my, you know, social media accounts and make money from the renovation, and then we can make more money in selling it because it will be renovated. So that's what she's like, kind of renovating this old house. And her mom's thing was, her mom said that there was a demon living in the house, and the older sisters are like, no, it was just abuse. Like, she was just abusing us. The demon wasn't real. And the younger sister was too young at the time, so doesn't really remember what happened in the house. And as she's living there trying to fix it up again, you know, all this stuff is coming back from her childhood, and is there really a demon in the house? And yeah, like I said, the plot I found really interesting in the whole family dynamics and all that, and kind of like, you know, family trauma following you and viewing your childhood differently as an adult because of, you know, repressing certain things and all that. I found it really fascinating. But the main character, she is just super unlikable. Like, I usually can handle that a little bit, like if I'm not like completely invested in the main character, but she like was really testing me because yeah, almost every step of the way I'm like, you are so selfish and all about what you want, and you don't care about your sisters or your dad or your family, like, and like, you know, talking things out with them, like, yeah. And I think that adds to the whole like trauma from their past and all that stuff. But yeah, it was really hard to follow her and want to be invested in what happens to her. But I did find it entertaining, so I'd probably try something else by Rachel Harrison. So like, I gave it 4 stars because I think there was a lot of really good points. Like the horror in this, I think really is a symbolic or metaphoric of like real life issues. But yeah, it was really hard to follow that main character. And then I had 2 books from the same series. My daughter and I are reading the Serafina series, and so this is book 2 and 3. So Serafina and the Twisted Staff is book 2, and Serafina and the Splintered Heart is book 3. And I give these all 4 stars, but part of the I think that I would not be reading these if it was just me. Like, I'm reading them with my 10-year-old, and if she wasn't wanting to read these, I probably would not have continued the series. I really liked book 1, but like it feels like it's much of the same, like book 2 and book 3 kind of feel like the same plot being recycled, which is fine, but not exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, I got interrupted by my kid and her friend wanting to put on all their snow gear to go outside. So I don't know where I was, but I think I was basically saying, I think these are good if you have a kid that really likes kind of more creepy or suspenseful, intense kind of books. It does have some intense moments in all of the books in the series and some scary things, but my 10-year-old loves them, and she was determined to read them all and us do it together. And I really enjoyed reading them with her, and there's always a little bit of a mystery and us discussing it. So I enjoyed reading them with her, but if I wasn't reading them with her, I probably would not have continued because they are a little formulaic for an adult. But the main character is great. The friendships in this are really great, and I would highly recommend them for middle school students that like something that is more on the creepy, intense side. All right, next I read Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber, and I've never read anything by this author. I know she has Caraval as like her big series, and I never read this. This is her first adult book, though I feel like it definitely teeters towards the young adult as well. Like, it doesn't necessarily feel like it is officially an adult debut. And this one was just fun. I enjoyed it. I'm being hesitant because even though I really enjoyed it, I'm like thinking, will I read the second one? Because it's going to take like almost a year, because this came out in October. So am I going to wait an entire year to read the second one and remember everything? But this definitely is not like a complete story. Like, you kind of need to read the rest of the series to really know what's going on. So that's why I'm a little hesitant. I'm like, man, am I going to have to reread this when it comes to next October? But basically, this is kind of like has this old Hollywood feel to it. We're in current day. We're following this young woman that is really into folklore, and that's what she's doing, her like grad program, PhD. I don't remember what it was, but she is like, you know, higher education, learning about folklore, and she kind of is believing this folklore that she is learning about kind of teeters on this side of magic, and she believes there is magic out there. And then one day, I don't know what does it say in the synopsis, because I'm trying to remember of like what. Yeah, so like she tracks down a local folklore legend called the Watchman, who's going to tell you when you will die, and he tells her that she will die the next day. And so she has 1 day to live unless she finds this specific magical object. And so then she gets pulled into the world of magic, all these things that she thought were stories, even though she kind of believed them. They were taught to her as folklore stories, finding out that they could be real and that she has to find this magical item in order to live. And so the reason it feels old Hollywood is they're traveling around Hollywood, and her dad and her mom had been like famous, like a famous director and actress a while back. And so like we kind of, not necessarily get flashbacks, but we get that feel of that old Hollywood moment by kind of exploring some of the things that her dad used to do in Hollywood and his shows. And even though that was like in the 90s that he was doing these shows, they definitely had more of the like 50s Hollywood feel. So yeah, it just kept feeling like old Hollywood. And I liked the atmosphere. I liked the whole magic kind of stuff that we were introduced to. I really like stories that evolve around storytelling and folklore. So I liked all those elements. So I was invested and interested in it. It just doesn't feel like a full story. Like it definitely feels like you need to have the second book. And sometimes that bothers me when that happens, when there's not a full arc, because then I'm like, oh, there's so much time to wait. I would kind of wish that I waited to read this till a little longer later so that I could have read the second book closer. So that would be my recommendation. If you're going to read this and you're someone that forgets plot lines, maybe wait until the second one's about to come out, because I have a feeling I'm going to forget most of what happened and I don't have a complete story. You know, I need to read the second one to have a complete story. All right, a second book that like this series is not like that. This series, each book has an arc, and so you can feel like you're done and you could take your time getting to the next book. And I like that sometimes because I'm such bad at remembering. So this is the second book in the Magpie Murders was the first book. This is Moonflower Murders by Anthony Horowitz. And in these, we are following a publisher, Susan Ryland, and she was a publisher for this like really big author who did very much like Sherlock Holmes type stories. And each of these, we have a book within a book. So I took a while to read the second one because I was like, oh, am I really going to get invested in that same gimmick? Like the first one, 5 stars, loved it, you know, the book within the book. And I'm like, oh, we're going to do the same thing. And I was still invested in it. I still really enjoy it. And when I say a book within a book, we get an entire murder mystery inside of this book. So we're following Susan in current day. And in this one, there's a couple that comes to her and says that a murder had happened in their hotel. I don't remember how long ago it was, 8 years ago. And they thought they had caught the murderer, but then their daughter read one of the books written by this famous author and was like, we had the wrong guy, and then she goes missing. And so they hire Susan, who is really, you know, familiar with these stories, to reread that book and really like research to see what their daughter could have figured out in this book that made her go missing and potentially dead, you know. They don't know if she's just missing, if she ran away, if she was killed, you know, whatever. And so Susan is solving this like 8-year-old mystery using this murder mystery book that she had published. And so we get that murder mystery book inside of this one. And so like we'll be going along, you know, in this one we get it farther on. So this whole thing in the front is the current day, and then we get the entire other book. So let's see, it goes like that. So this right here is a different book. So, and then we go back to modern time. And I really like that they don't go back and forth. It's not like we get a chapter in current time and a chapter in the other book. We establish the story, we get the whole murder mystery inside, and then we go back to the original story. And I really like that framework. Sorry, I keep getting interrupted by my kids coming in and out. So this is probably has a bit of an all over the place video. But anyways, I really liked the framework again, and I enjoyed this one. I would say this is 4 stars instead of 5 stars because there were some parts that got a little repetitive, but I still really enjoy the books that are written inside of the book as well. Like as their own book, they're really good. So I'm going to keep going. There's a 3rd book in the series, but the good thing about this is that I can take my time before I get to the 3rd book because like even though we follow Susan in some of her like relationships, you don't feel like you need to remember everything that happened in the previous book to move on. It's just like the framework is the same. All right, and then I finished a series. I've been trying this year to finish some series, and this is one that I finished. I finished the trilogy. I don't remember what this is called. Oh, Regency Fairy Tales is the series called. And Long Shadow is the last one. The first one is Half a Soul. And I loved Half a Soul. I really enjoyed the second book too. This one I enjoyed as well, but for some reason I put it down halfway through and then came back to it. So I think my problem with series is that I do want to continue them, but sometimes if I continue them too close to each other, then I'm like, okay, I need a break. And so then I end up putting it down. So I think I need to find that happy medium of like waiting a couple months between reading series so that I don't end up like setting it down in the middle of the book. But this one was still good. I enjoy the characters that we're following and the world that's created. So these are like, fantasy fae stories that are taking place during Regency time in England. So it's like historical fiction with fantasy elements. And so this one, we are following the daughter of people from the first book. So they have an adopted daughter, and she is now, what is she, probably around 18 or something like that, and now we are following her, and she is investigating the disappearances of these different ladies. They're kind of like high society young women that are like, like they're in their, what's that called? When they're out in society and on the marriage market, it's like they are going missing or dying. And so she is kind of investigating this, and she has the ability, or she meets this woman who has the ability to talk to ghosts. So that helps her in her investigation, because she can like talk to some of the ghosts of the missing or murdered women. And they are kind of pairing up together to work and figure out what's going on. There's the Fae world is involved in this in some way. Lord Longshadow is a fairy lord, and yeah, so I'm not describing this. I feel like I'm not describing any of these books very well, so I apologize, but these are good because they have that Regency England romance kind of thing going on, but then also there's fairies and magic and all of that involved. We get a lot of magic in this one because her, the talking to the ghosts, and Mercy is the other woman in this, is like, definitely has a connection to the Fae world. And so it opens up a lot of time in the fairy world. And this is a sapphic romance, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked the whole series. I just needed to probably pace them out a little more, but I would still recommend this if you like kind of historical romance with a little bit of Fae magic put in there. And the last one I want to talk about is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. And this one was also in the Goodreads choice, I think. Yeah, and I guess I didn't mention it, but also Play Nice and Alchemy and Secrets were both part of the Goodreads Choice Award. That was part of what I wanted to read this month, was read some of the ones that I owned that were in the Goodreads Choice Award. So actually, this one wasn't, sorry, it was the second book. But in order to read the second book, which I'm reading now, I needed to read this one first. So I was trying to read some books that I owned that were part of the Goodreads Choice Awards and needed to read the first book in the series, and now I'm on to the second. I did really enjoy this. Everybody seems to love it. I don't know that it wasn't 5 stars for me. It was 4 stars because it's kind of a big world, and I think I'm liking the second one better now that I'm reading it because I understand the world more. At the beginning of this, it took me a long time to figure out what was going on, because we're in this like empire, and there's different rings of the empire, and there's like levels of they're not even the military, it's I don't even know what they're called, but there's different levels, and so we have to learn about that. There's also a lot of like, I don't even know, like augmentations, like people have different abilities and their different class groups based on these abilities and things they can do. We are following an engraver, which means that he can, like, anything that he experiences, sees, hears, he remembers, like photographic memory, and he is like augmented to remember like every single thing that he experiences. And so then he is like, it's a murder mystery, so he is taking everything from the crime scene and all the interviews and all that, and he's taking it to the head detective, who is really intelligent. She's like kind of a Sherlock Holmes type person, and so she is able to take all the information that he gathers from the crime scene and puts it all into the answer to the crime. And she doesn't like to go to the crime scenes because she is very much like, too much sensory stuff is too much for her, so she wears a blindfold most of the time, and she doesn't often like interview people herself unless she really wants to. Like, she's definitely, if you thought Sherlock Holmes was kind of grumpy and self-righteous, she's on another level. And so like it's them solving these murder mysteries, but we are following the man who can like remember everything. And yeah, so it just took me like probably a good like 100 pages to even like fully understand the world and like what was going on. And so then I was invested in like the murder mystery. And it was pretty complicated. There was a lot of like things going on, a lot of elements. So that's why I don't think it was 5 stars to me, because I was confused some of the time. Now that we're in the second one and I understand the basis of the world and the people and how they interact with each other, I think I could end up giving the second one 5 stars. So yes, I recommend this series. I enjoy it, but it took me a little bit to get into, because it is a fantasy world that is like pretty intricate. So it's not like we're just throwing a murder mystery into some generic fantasy world. Like, he builds an entire world here, and we're getting the details of the world, and so it's just a lot to take in at first. And he doesn't like explain it. It's not info dumpy. We're just learning it as the murder mystery is going on. And so that's why sometimes I felt like a little like unmoored of like what was happening. But by the time I was halfway through, I was really getting invested in understanding what was happening in the different types of people and all that. So I would recommend it. I think this is really interesting if you like murder mysteries, but you want just something that is a little different and might be harder to figure out the solution because there's fantasy elements and lots of stuff going on, then I'd recommend that series. All right, so I apologize that seemed like a really rambling wrap up. I'm very distracted by the kids and everything going on, but I wanted to talk about all these because I did have a good reading month. Like, even though some of them, nothing was 5 stars and nothing was perfect for me, I still like was enjoying everything I was reading on some level, and so that is really good. I feel like this year has been a really good reading year, that I am like purposely seeking things that are entertaining to me instead of like worrying about what's the most popular or anything like that, or like kind of trying not to get pulled into completely what is super hyped when I know I won't enjoy them. I'm just trying to like seek out what I think I'll enjoy, and it has led to a more successful reading year. But it has also led to me like buying a lot of things. And so next year, probably just need to read all the books that I have bought this year. But luckily, so far, I am like enjoying the things that I have bought and purchased. So that's it for me. If you want to talk about any of these books, I would love to hear from you down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.